Well, my heart is full as well to be up here and to share this day with all of you. And I, in the minute that I have, want to talk about the way in which faith and politics and policy have come together in a very powerful way in the Jubilee movement. And I look around and I see Mark Harrison from the Methodist office, and I see Jerry Flood from the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, and I see Marie Dennis, people who 10 years ago were working on this issue. Kathleen Sengstock, Maureen Shea was in the White House at that time, but a cast of characters who were brought together in a very miraculous way to build and be part of a movement that was really global. And one of the things I remember is a meeting that a few of us had sitting in Tim Geithner's office. Tim Geithner was the number 3 person at Treasury at that time. This was in May of 1999, and this was really before the G8 meeting, and it was before Bono was on the scene. And Tim Geithner said to that small group of religious folk in the room, and Oxfam, Oxfam's always with the religious folk, seems, and that's a good thing, said to us, you know, you've won on the policy. And I thought, what the heck did he mean by that? But what he meant was actually very, very, very important, and I've reflected on this many times. What he meant was, up to that point, debt relief was about debt sustainability and all these formulas and how do we keep countries, paying in at a rate that they can somehow afford and, whatever. But what changed was, and the policy that changed, is that debt relief was supposed to be for poverty reduction. And the United States government embraced that idea and that policy. And everything that's come since then has been around trying to make debt relief work for poverty reduction. And that makes all the difference in the world. That's the kinds of things we've been hearing about from our speakers in terms of not only what has been achieved, but where we need to go. And I think the other thing I just want to say, when I think about debt relief, I think about Jesus just before he came into Jerusalem. And as he was coming in on that last week of his life, he looked out over that city, which was the capital and the religious and the political capital of its time, and said, and wept for it, and said, I wish that they knew the things that make for peace. What are the things that make for peace? Well, one of them actually is, I think, cultivating compassion. And that's why I think Reverend David Duncombe is so important. Because what he is doing day in and day out, what he did with Spencer Backus and all those members of Congress, and what our job is to help cultivate compassion, because that's where justice starts. So if you want peace, Pope Paul VI said it, if you want peace, work for justice. And you begin by cultivating compassion, and then you have to continue to work at that making justice, working for justice day after day. So I thank you for what you have done to bring us all together and to cultivate that spirit that's still alive in us today. Thank you very much.